All right, buckle up everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into the AI News Digest from January 25th, 2025. We've got a bit of a smorgasbord of sources for this deep dive. We've got those quick hit summaries from Twitter, some juicy deep dives over on Reddit, and of course, the ever lively debates raging on Discord. So we've got a direct line to the pulse of the AI community, all those different perspectives.
Yeah, it's fascinating how these different corners of the internet, react to the same piece of news. Twitter's always about that instant hype, right? Reddit's digging into the nitty-gritty details. And Discord, well, let's be honest, Discord's where you go for a good old-fashioned AI showdown.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about this. You get the full spectrum. You get the, this is it, folks. AI singularity is here.
Yeah.
And then you get the, shh, this is nothing new, just a bunch of overhyped algorithms.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to try to cut through all that noise and see what's actually worth paying attention to.
And hopefully by the end of this deep dive, you'll walk away with a clearer sense of what really matters to you.
That's the goal, right? So first up, we got to talk about this DeepSeek R1. This model is blowing up everywhere you look. It's like the AI equivalent of a rock star.
It's definitely making waves, that's for sure. That 64% score they hit on the Aider polyglot benchmark, that's impressive, especially when you consider that it's, 14 times cheaper to run than OpenAI's O1 model.
Okay, hold on. Bump the brakes for a sec. For those of us who aren't, coding wizards, what exactly is this Aider benchmark, and why should we care that DeepSeek is like a bargain basement AI?
Right, good point. So this Aider benchmark, it's essentially a test. They're trying to see how well an AI model can understand and generate code, but across a whole bunch of different programming languages. Think of it like the AI Olympics, but for coding.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture.
And the fact that DeepSeek can achieve these scores, but at a fraction of the cost, well, it's a pretty big deal, has a lot of people excited.
So is this it? Is this the David versus Goliath story everyone's making out to be? Is DeepSeek about to shake up the whole AI world?
It certainly has the potential, and I think a big part of that is because DeepSeek is open source. They've got it licensed under MIT, which means anyone can grab the model's code, use it, modify it, distribute it, the whole 9 yards.
That's pretty different from what we're seeing from some of those bigger companies, right? Like OpenAI, they tend to keep their models pretty close to the chest.
Yeah, it's a totally different approach.
So what does this mean for the average developer, the independent researcher? Are we talking about a more level playing field here?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of open source models like DeepSeek. They can really level the playing field, and that's what gets people fired up about the potential for more rapid innovation.
That's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There are always trade-offs, right? Open source isn't a magic bullet.
Oh, absolutely. No silver bullets here. With open source models, you often need a bit more technical know-how to get things up and running. They might need some tinkering, some fine-tuning to really make them sing for your specific use case.
And let's be real, DeepSeek R1 might just be riding a wave of hype right now. The big players, they're not just going to roll over.
True. They're not going down without a fight.
This is just chapter 1. And it's going to be interesting to see how DeepSeek adapts and evolves as things heat up.
Definitely. This is just the beginning of the story.
Speaking of evolution, it seems like there's a big push in the AI world to make these models smaller and more efficient. Is this the next big thing? Are we moving away from these behemoth AI models?
Certainly a trend worth paying attention to, yeah. One technique that's gaining traction is called low bound for distillation. Have you heard of that one?
I've seen it mentioned, but I have to admit it sounds a bit
I
intimidating.
know, it was a mouthful. Imagine you've got this master chef, right? Knows all the secret recipes, all the techniques. Low bound for distillation is like taking that chef's knowledge and distilling it down, teaching it to a younger, less experienced cook.
So it's like a mentorship program, but for AI.
Right. Exactly. You're essentially training a smaller, more efficient model, but you're using the knowledge from a bigger, more powerful model to give it a head start.
So instead of starting from scratch, the little guy gets a boost from the big guy.
Precisely. And this means you can get impressive performance from a smaller model, which is great if you want to run AI on, say, your smartphone or laptop.
No more needing a server farm just to run your AI. That's a win in my book.
Yeah.
So what else are these AI wizards cooking up?
Well, they're also playing around with reinforcement learning techniques.
Reinforcement learning. Isn't that how they train those AI programs that can beat humans at Go and chess?
That's the one. It's all about teaching an AI model through trial and error, rewards and penalties, kind of like how you'd train a pet,
So instead of giving the AI a treat, we're giving it data points.
You got it.
Yeah.
And it's proving to be surprisingly effective. They're using reinforcement learning to fine-tune AI models for really specific tasks, like generating different kinds of creative text or adapting to different conversational styles.
So you could train an AI to write you a haiku 1 minute and then have a philosophical debate with you the next.
Exactly. And this is really just scratching the surface, I think. Reinforcement learning has the potential to completely change how we interact with AI, make it more adaptable, more personalized.
Okay, before we get too carried away with our AI haiku writing buddies,
Yeah.
let's check in on the LMSYS Arena Leaderboard. This is where the real AI gladiators duke it out, right?
It's like the AI Olympics, yeah. All the top models are there competing to see who comes out on top.
So who's in the lead right now? Is DeepSeek R1 already dominating?
Well, they're definitely a strong contender, but there's some fierce competition out there. You've got models like Claude 3.5 Sonnet and GPT-4o. They're all vying for that top spot.
So it's a three-way battle for AI supremacy. That's intense. But let's be honest, these leaderboards can sometimes feel a bit, I don't know, abstract. What do these rankings actually tell us about how these models perform in the real world?
That's a great question. And it's important to remember that these leaderboards are just one piece of the puzzle. They give us a snapshot, a glimpse into how well a model performs on specific tasks, but they don't tell the whole story.
So what else should we be thinking about when we're evaluating these AI models?
Well, for one thing, cost is always a factor, right? Some of these massive models require a ton of expensive hardware, specialized expertise, and that can be a barrier for smaller organizations.
True, not everyone has access to a supercomputer.
And then there's the question of usability. What good is a super intelligent AI if it's so complicated that only a rocket scientist can figure out how to use it?
Exactly. You want something powerful, but also user-friendly. And of course, we can't forget about the ethical implications. As AI gets more powerful, we need to be thinking about potential biases, privacy concerns, the impact on society as a whole.
All incredibly important considerations. You don't want to just chase performance without thinking about the bigger picture.
So the takeaway here is that while these leaderboards are fun to follow, they're not the be-all and end-all.
Right, we need to take a more holistic view, consider all the factors before we crown a champion.
Speaking of taking a holistic view, there seems to be a growing trend towards benchmarking sub-24 GB AI models. Didn't we just talk about how these massive models aren't always the best solution?
We did, and that's what makes this trend so interesting. The AI community is realizing that there's a whole world of powerful AI models out there that don't need a server farm to run.
So it's not just about finding the biggest, baddest model anymore. It's about finding the right model for the job, something that's efficient, accessible, and can run on more readily available hardware.
Exactly. And by benchmarking these smaller models, we can get a better sense of what they're capable of, and we can start to identify the best tools for different applications.
It's like creating a consumer reports guide, but for AI models, helping people choose the right AI for their needs and their budget.
I like that analogy. And this whole movement is being fueled by the rise of open source AI models. As more developers share their code and their data sets, it becomes easier to experiment with and benchmark a wider variety of models.
This is great news for everyone, right? It's democratizing access to AI, giving individuals and smaller organizations the power to innovate and compete.
Absolutely. It's a win-win situation.
Speaking of winning, there's this technique I keep seeing pop up in the summaries. It's called implicit chain of thought reasoning. It sounds kind of mysterious and intriguing, you know?
Ah, yes, implicit chain of thought reasoning. This is a really interesting area of research. They're trying to make AI models more transparent and explainable.
Okay, those are some big words. Break it down for me. What does that actually mean?
Sure. So traditionally, a lot of these AI models have worked like black boxes. You feed in data, you get results, but it's not always clear how the AI got there.
It's like asking a magician to explain their trick. They're not going to give away their secrets.
Exactly. But with implicit chain of thought reasoning, researchers are trying to get these AI models to show their work, so to speak.
So instead of just spitting out an answer, the AI would walk us through his thought process.
Precisely. And this is crucial if we want to build trust in AI systems, if we want to understand how these models are making decisions.
It makes sense. If I can see how the AI arrived at its conclusion,
Yeah.
then I can better evaluate its fairness, spot potential biases, and even help it learn to reason more effectively.
Exactly. It all comes back to that idea of not just chasing performance, but also considering transparency, ethical implications, the whole package.
It's all connected, isn't it? Okay, I think we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have. It's been quite a whirlwind tour through the latest AI news.
But we're not done yet. There's still much more to explore.
Oh yeah, we're just getting started.
We'll be back soon for part 2, where we'll delve into some specific models and tools that are making waves in the AI world, so stay tuned.
It's going to be a wild ride. Welcome back to our deep dive, into all things AI news.
All right, let's jump right back into that swirling vortex of AI news, shall we? Before the break, we were talking about all those benchmarks and leaderboards and how to actually evaluate these AI models. So now let's get down to brass tacks and talk about some specific models and tools that are catching everyone's attention.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
All right, first up, I got to ask about this SmolVLM 256M. It's a catchy name, I'll give them that. And I remember we talked about this trend of smaller, more efficient AI models. So where does SmolVLM fit into all of this?
Yeah, SmolVLM is a perfect example of that trend. It's a multimodal model, which means it can handle both text and images all in one tidy package.
Hold on, multimodal. So it's like an AI that can see and read at the same time, like some kind of superpowered AI being.
Pretty much. And what's really remarkable is how compact and efficient it is. This thing runs entirely in your browser using WebGPU.
No way.
Yeah.
So you don't need some massive server farm, some crazy supercomputer to actually use it.
Nope. All you need is a modern web browser, and boom, you've got access to this powerful AI model at your fingertips.
That's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. It
Wow.
really shows how AI is becoming more accessible, more democratized.
Definitely. It's lowering the barrier to entry.
Speaking of accessibility, I keep hearing about this unsloth AI LoHan framework. What's the deal with that? What makes it so special?
Well, LoHan is a game changer for researchers who are working with those massive language models. The ones with the billions, even trillions of parameters.
Yeah, it's hard to even wrap your head around how complex these things are getting.
Right. And LoHan actually makes it possible to fine-tune those massive models, but get this, on a single GPU.
Wait, seriously? I thought you needed a whole data center, like a small country's worth of computing power, just to train those behemoths.
I know, it sounds crazy. But LoHan uses this technique called parameter-efficient fine-tuning. It's like finding a shortcut, so you only have to train the essential parts of the model without having to update everything.
So it's like instead of making your AI run a marathon every time, you're giving it a targeted workout, focusing on the key muscles.
Exactly, and that makes the whole training process much faster, much more efficient. It opens up the doors for a lot more researchers who don't have access to those massive computing resources.
I love it. It's like leveling the playing field in AI research. Now, let's talk about data for a minute. We all know that AI models are only as good as the data they're trained on, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So what kind of interesting data sets are popping up on our radar?
There's one that's generating a lot of buzz. It's called the Dolphin R1 dataset. It's huge, like 800,000 examples. Huge.
800,000 examples. That's a lot of data. But we already have tons of data sets out there, right? What makes Dolphin R1 so special?
Well, Dolphin R1 is unique because it's specifically designed to improve reasoning and problem-solving abilities in AI models. It's not just about teaching AI to generate text or translate languages. It's about pushing the boundaries of AI cognition, making those AI brains work harder.
So it's like giving AI a mental workout, helping it think critically and solve complex problems.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. Dolphin R1 is being released under an open-source license.
Open source strikes again. I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a trend.
Okay, I got to ask about this Sky T132B Flash model. It seems like every time I turn around, someone's mentioning it.
Ah, yes. Sky T132B Flash. This one's interesting because it tackles a problem that I think a lot of people can relate to, and that's verbosity. You know how some AI models just love to hear themselves talk? They generate these walls of text that are, well, let's just say they're not exactly concise.
It's like they're stuck in a never-ending monologue and they just can't get to the point.
That's a good way to put it. And that's where Sky T132B Flash comes in. It's designed to be more to the point, to generate text that's both informative and engaging, but without all the unnecessary fluff.
So it's like an AI that's mastered the art of brevity. Maybe we should all take some notes.
I think we could all learn a thing or two from Sky T132B Flash, that's for sure.
Okay, so we've talked about all these different models and techniques, and it's clear that there's a ton of innovation happening in the AI world right now. But it's easy to get lost in the technical details, What does all of this actually mean for the average person? How is this going to change our lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How does all this AI advancement translate into real-world impact?
Exactly. It's easy to get caught up in the hype. But I want to know how this is going to change things for me, for you, for everyone listening.
Well, I think we're really just starting to scratch the surface of what's possible. AI is already transforming industries like healthcare, finance, education.
Okay, let's break that down. Give me some concrete examples. How is AI actually making a difference in these fields?
Sure. So in healthcare, for instance, AI is being used to develop personalized treatment plans, based on a patient's individual genetic makeup, their medical history, all that good stuff.
So no more one-size-fits-all medicine. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's really moving towards more tailored treatments. And then in finance, AI is helping to detect fraud, prevent financial crimes, and also to develop more sophisticated investment strategies.
So it's like having a personal financial advisor, but powered by AI. What about education? How is AI changing the way we learn?
Well, one of the big things is personalized learning experiences. AI can tailor educational content to each student's individual needs, their learning style, all of that. And it can also help automate tasks like grading and providing feedback, which frees up teachers to focus on, more meaningful interactions with their students.
That's amazing. It
Yeah.
sounds like AI could revolutionize the entire education system. But I know there are also concerns, right? Like, what about job displacement? Are robots going to take over all our jobs?
It's true that AI will likely automate certain tasks that are currently done by humans, and those are valid concerns. It's important to have open and honest conversations about how we navigate this transition. But it's also worth remembering that AI is creating new jobs, new opportunities that didn't exist before.
So it's not just about AI replacing human workers. It's about AI working alongside humans, augmenting our capabilities, and creating new possibilities.
Exactly. It's about finding that synergy, that balance between human and artificial intelligence.
It's a fascinating and complex issue, that's for sure. It seems like AI is changing the world around us at an incredible pace. And it's crucial that we understand both the potential benefits and the potential risks.
I completely agree. It's a really exciting time to be alive, and it's going to be interesting to see where this AI journey takes us.
And we're back for the final leg of our AI news journey. We've covered a lot of ground, from those shiny new models to AI's impact on healthcare, finance, you name it.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride through the ever-changing world of AI, hasn't it?
It really has. But before we wrap things up, I think it's worth taking a step back, looking at the bigger picture. Like, where is this AI train actually headed? What does the future hold?
Ugh, the million-dollar question, right? The crystal ball of AI. Well, one thing's for sure. AI is becoming more and more woven into the fabric of our lives. It's changing the way we work, the way we learn, even how we interact with the world around us.
It's almost like, I don't know, AI is becoming the operating system for society, in a way.
That's an interesting way to put it, like the underlying code that runs everything. And like any operating system, we have to think about who's controlling it, how it's being designed, you know, the ethics of the whole thing.
Right, exactly. We've talked about the potential for AI to make things more accessible, more democratic, but there's also that flip side, that risk of widening the gap, making inequality even worse.
Absolutely, it's a double-edged sword. If we're not careful, AI could end up concentrating power in the hands of a few, creating a digital divide that leaves a lot of people behind. And that's something we definitely don't want to see happen.
So what can we actually do about it? How do we make sure AI is developed and used responsibly? How do we ensure that it benefits everyone, not just a select few?
Well, first and foremost, I think we need to keep having these conversations, these open and honest discussions about the ethical side of AI. We can't just bury our heads in the sand and pretend these issues don't exist.
Yeah, we need to acknowledge the potential for bias, for unintended consequences, and figure out how to mitigate those risks. And that's where things like transparency and explainability come in.
Right. If we can peel back the curtain, understand how these AI systems are actually making decisions, then we can start to hold them accountable. We can identify and address those biases. It's about making sure the black box of AI becomes a bit more transparent.
Makes sense. And I think education is a huge piece of the puzzle, too. We need to be preparing people for the jobs of the future, equipping them with the skills they'll need to thrive in an AI-driven world.
Couldn't agree more. Education and training are essential. It's not about fearing AI. It's about learning how to work alongside it, how to harness its power for good. AI is a tool, after all. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It all comes down to how we choose to wield it.
That's a great point to end on, I think. AI isn't some mysterious force beyond our control. It's something we're creating and shaping. And we have a responsibility to steer it in the right direction, a direction that benefits all of humanity.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The future of AI is in our hands. It's up to us to make it a future we can all be proud of, a future that's equitable, sustainable, and truly transformative in a positive way.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the AI news from January 25th, 2025. We've explored some fascinating new developments, unpacked some complex ideas, and hopefully left you feeling a bit more informed and engaged with the world of AI.
Yeah, it's been a great discussion.
As always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll be back soon with another exploration of the latest and greatest in science and technology. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those tough questions. The future of AI, and indeed the future of humanity, depends on it.